Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to focus on leggings, and these are just extraordinarily cute leggings. You'll love them. Of course, you could do them to an already finished pair, but we're going to show some variables that we can control by doing them to a pair that we're making. So in this particular case, I saw these in New York and I love them. They're leggings and they've got like holes going up the side. I'll kind of show you. But the negative is that with the leggings there, they were just too many holes and too immodest and but they were cute. But with making my own, I get to do exactly what I want. So I'm starting with a fabric. It has two-way stretch. I'm calling this black 941 because you see it has stretch in both directions and it's really a nice dark black. That's what I want for leggings. And I only need a yard. So I'm going to cut off a yard because most of us, especially this particular fabric, is 60 inches wide. So a yard works perfectly. It doesn't matter which way the stretch is going because in this case, again, the stretch is both directions. And none of my leggings, none of my parts are on the fold. So I just have to fold the two selvages together and then lay my pattern on top. So I've already kind of tweaked all my patterns, what I like, what I wanted, all that fun stuff. So it's not really anything tough here. We're just going to put the pattern on there and cut it out. Because the grain is not really critical in knit, I don't have to measure it. As long as it's straight, that works. We're only going to sew one seam. We're just going to sew down. I'm going to put all my decoration on the left seam. So we're just going to sew down one side of the pant for now. And then we're going to come back and do our decorations. Let's go sew. So I mark my pants just so that I know what the difference is. Like, especially when you're dealing with a fabric like this, it's really easy to get the wrong sides and the right sides. I mark the back, the right side with 2 pins. And the front, the right side, with 1 pin. So that way I won't sew a front to a back and a front to a back and a front to a back and a back, you know what I'm saying. So I take one front, one back, I put right sides together. It doesn't, as long as I have the crotch in the middle, then I know it's the right ones. It's nothing worse than doing, because these are so simple, but sometimes when we have something simple like this, we can mess it up really easily. And I'm gonna go ahead and sew this one seam. And when you're sewing a long seam like this, look ahead, line up the bottom, and just kind of pull it. That'll make sure that the sewing machine's not pulling it irregularly. Seams always are pressed. This is a side seam. Seams are always pressed to the back. So I'm going to press this long seam here. This is this first side seam. I'm going to press it all the way to the back. And anytime you're using a polyester or non-synthetic, it's going to take a little more time for that seam to set. So be patient with pressing. Once you press it, it'll be there forever. But it does take a little bit more time. And what we're doing is we're just going to do the one seam because it's so much easier to put on all the decoration with a pant flat. Clearly you could buy the leggings and then put this on. But it's so much easier to put them on when you've got, if you're going to do that, I would suggest you maybe undo the inseam. All right, good enough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a package, and these are just curtain grommets. There's no tools. They're great. They're really fun. They come in all different colors. You can get them at any hobby store. And the 2 parts, you're going to see like little prongs in one side, and then it's smooth on the other side. This is the main side you want to use because you're going to cut the fabric away and stretch it over this hole. Now, if I were using a non-stretch fabric, I would cut it to be the hole, and I think there's actually a pattern on the back. But because I'm using a stretch fabric, if I cut it the same size as the hole, the fabric might pull away. So I'm going to cut it actually a little smaller than that hole, and it might pucker while it's off, but once it's on, it will pull and be the right size. So you'll have to experiment with just a little scrap. I'm just going to cut it on the inside of that and stretch it over the hole so that once I put the leggings on, they won't pull out from the ring. That's the concept that I want you to have in mind. So now what I want to do is I just want to put them at the bottom, kind of curling up to the top. I've got about 6. And so the first thing I'm going to do is do the little grommets. I'm going to do my first one. I'm cutting it freehand just because I kind of know the size that they are. All right, so I like that. I'm going to go ahead and kind of measure the distances to make sure I've got the right spacing. Okay, so I moved down to a table because it's a little easier to have something hard to push it against, whereas you're just not pushing between your hands. I took this one out because I didn't have it quite round. It's really helpful if it's round. I'm going to try that again. And each of these has just a little hole right there. And if they don't go together right, when I put it together, what happened is there was actually fabric sticking out. And I didn't want that fabric to stick out. So now I've got it round. This is much better. Caution you against little things that can go wrong. Then I can put this right on top and then just push until it snaps into place. And that was like 10 times easier than trying to do it on the ironing board. So, and I've got all the fabric in. So I'm just pushing it just to make sure everything's round. That was so much easier. So get a hard surface and just make sure the circle is actually a circle. It'd probably be better if I did a pattern, but like I said, just cut around. All right, so there's the look I wanted. And then what I'm going to do is I want to add crystals all through here just to kind of add a little bling to it. The black on black is not really too crazy, but I want to add crystals all through there. So now I'm going to add my crystals, and we've worked with these before. And you recognize that where they go or how they go is totally up to you. But I know that I want them to be more vertical looking. I want them to really lead the eye up. So I don't want to do anything big that would take the eye, you know, over around here. I want it to be a more vertical pattern. Let's go try them on. All right, so leggings are all done, and I'm going to show you, but before I show you the finished product, one thing I really like about this pattern is it's so smooth across. Like there's not a whole lot of gathers. It's like a one-to-one, and I like that. A lot of leggings I try on at the store, they're like they like don't really fit, and they're not smooth over my tummy, and I like that. All right, so here's the final legging. We're going to show you Isn't that cute? And you guys, you can do this with several. You don't have to use what I used, but you could use grommets. You could even embroider on your sewing machine. Just embroider circles and then add the little sequins in. So lots of different ways you can do it. I think it's enough that I only did it on one leg. I love it. I love my new leggings. Happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns.